Okay, so look, before you guys start wilding out in the comment section, I'll go ahead and tell you right now and save you the trouble. All the reports, all the rumors were lies. Yes, it is a sad day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry to say this is not the 14-inch redesign we were all expecting. I personally feel like the 13-inch is the perfect size, like this whole computer's form factor. It's just amazing. It puts together the best of both worlds, power and portability into one really nice aluminum package. But before we raise our pitchforks at Apple, let's applaud them for finally getting rid of that laughable 128GB SSD entry model, and were kind enough to double that for us essentially for free. So now base storage is doubled, and we also finally have consistency across the MacBook lineup in that the butterfly keyboard is now finally deceased. 2020 was the year for it, and honestly, I'm not surprised. Anything can happen in 2020 at this point, if you want me to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the year Bigfoot is caught in the flesh. But you may be asking, well, Juan, what else is new in the new base 13-inch model? I'll tell you what, let's just roll the intro, unbox this sucker, and then we'll talk. So yeah, roll the intro. So you know what's about to happen, don't you? Yes sir, you see a white box on this channel and you just know for a fact it's getting unboxed. And that's precisely why we came. So let's look at the front here, a nice little image of our brand new 13-inch, not 14-inch MacBook Pro with accompanying MacBook Pro branding and Apple logos along the side. And on the back, we get our technical specifications, including how much storage we have, the RAM, and all that other nerdy goodness. But pull open that tab, lift open the lid, and your brand new MacBook Pro 13-inch is there greeting you. It's like you can hear it say, "Please open me." Inside, we get the usual, pretty generic these unboxings, I would say. I remember back in the day, Apple would give out so many goodies, but anyway, product and warranty information guide, quick start guide, and my 110th pair of Apple stickers. They're color matched, by the way. You get a USB-C to USB-C cable to charge and sync the device, and of course our power adapter. That is a travel adapter. It can be switched out to accommodate other power outlets in other countries. Apple used to include an extension cable that I still have and is super useful, but nowadays, nope. Now if you want one, you have to buy it separate, and it is a pretty penny. $20 for a stinking extension cord that should have been supplied in the box in the first place. Review on it later on? Let me know. Okay, so what's new? We of course see we have our new scissor style mechanism keyboard, which is great. I adore this keyboard. You have that 1mm of travel that just feels responsive and natural. The older butterfly keys were simply too stiff for me at times. And with such little travel, sometimes I wasn't sure if I was actually typing or if I missed a key or was typing too fast or too slow. To compensate for the scissor style keyboard though, Apple did have to make the body of the new 13-inch slightly thicker by like 0.7mm. But come on, that doesn't even matter. It's actually a good thing now that we finally got rid of that godforsaken butterfly keyboard. We thankfully now get that dedicated escape key. Touch bar still present here. Dedicated Touch ID sensor with a matte finish and our inverted T arrow key design. Finally, bliss. It feels so good to have this keyboard back on this design because this footprint, the 13-inch is the sweet spot for me since the 16-inch is a beast but sometimes too bulky and the Air is thin and lightweight and all but lacks the power under the hood. But in other news, I was disappointed that we still don't get a dedicated graphics card. Those are only reserved for the 16-inch Pros. But I mean, it makes sense. You can only fit so much inside, and then there's the whole thermal throttling debate that Apple is infamous for. But thankfully, we do get slight Iris graphics gains. A new 10th generation processor design that is now quad core across the board, up to a nice and powerful i7 Intel processor. Now doubling the storage, and like I said, big plus because realistically, my meme collection won't fit on the old 128GB model. Come on, let's be real. So that's always a plus, and it can go up to 4TB of SSD storage, which is insane, I know. And now a baseline 16GB RAM configuration with faster LPDDR4X memory and can be configured up to 32 gigs of RAM. No Wi-Fi 6 on any of the new 13-inch models, sad day for sure, and battery is rated to be the same, despite the minuscule increase in overall thickness. Wait. Hey Josh, all of this doesn't sound right. Are you sure it's for the base model? Oh, not the base model. So there you have it, guys. Josh, who helps me out with my script, lied to you guys. Nah, I'm just kidding. There is no Josh. The One and Only is a one-man show for now. But anyway, I knew beforehand. I just did this because I know some of you guys are pretty pissed about this. So all of that stuff I mentioned, the faster RAM, the 10th gen chips, all of that stuff is reserved for the higher priced 13-inch MacBook Pro. Let me explain. There are technically two different products within the 13-inch line. You have the baseline and then you have the 4 USB-C model. And listen, yes, I'm with you. I know some of you guys are upset. And I know you are because I know so many of you were waiting for that 14-inch redesign with bumped up specs. I have answered plenty of DMs and that was my advice. For like the past 4 months, I've been telling you guys, no, wait. Don't buy an entry-level 13-inch MacBook Pro just yet. It should be refreshed soon, and lo and behold, here is your refresh on the baseline model. A scissor-style keyboard and double the storage. There you go, straight from the gods somewhere in California. Kinda hard to believe, right? But yup, that's basically it. I hate to say it, but man, this makes for a pretty boring update. But like, here's my thing. Other YouTubers have discussed this, including Dave Lee. He has an awesome channel as well and is always on top of his game. And in some key aspects that he discussed, I do agree. Because like, the thing is, the new 10th gen chips would have increased the price. And this isn't an Apple thing, it's an Intel thing. So had this baseline model would have included the 10th gen chips, it likely would have eaten into Apple's bottom line. So definitely not good for them. But then on the other hand, I just think to myself, if the technology is there, why not include it? How much will it really hurt Apple's pocket at the end of the day? I don't agree with the whole, oh, people don't want extra performance if they don't need it. It's like, maybe we don't want it, but it's nice to have it there just in case. It's like with the iPhone cameras. Sure, nobody needs or even asked for a triple camera array. Not everybody has a use for an ultra wide lens, but it's nice to know it's there if you do ever need to tap into it. But it's just hard because I see the reasoning. If it would have raised the price even by $100 for the baseline, I'm sure it would turn a lot of people away and people would be more inclined to go with the Air or worse, a competitor. So it's hard. So I guess the real star of the show is the higher spec model, the one with 4 USB-C ports that I will review and unbox in a separate video. But for now, we're stuck with the entry model, and don't get me wrong, it's still an incredible machine. Listen, let's not be ungrateful because just like MKBHD said, little spec bumps here and there are good. Let's not deny that. Because for the same price, you get a way more reliable keyboard and double the storage. So that's what $12.99 gets you. And even though it's not the 14-inch redesign, I think it's still a step in the right direction. Imagine this. You can't tell me you'd prefer the 13-inch from literally 2 weeks ago that still had the butterfly keys and 128 gigabytes of base storage, right? You'd much rather prefer scissor keys and 256 gigabytes of entry storage, I'm assuming. Look, I'm not making excuses for Apple. I just wish Apple would have given us just a tiny bit more. The faster DDR4X RAM would have been nice, and for it to start out at 16 gigabytes instead of 8 would have made this an easier pill to swallow. So on behalf of Apple, I apologize. I apologize to all who were waiting for the 14-inch redesign with modern 10th gen chips instead of 8th gen, and more of a reason to call this a real upgrade. Will the 14-inch redesign ever come? I'm not sure. I agree with other YouTubers though. If Apple were to do a 14-inch redesign, I think they'd wait for an ARM MacBook, one where Apple themselves supply the power under the hood and ditch Intel. But until then, we have this, a new keyboard and double the base storage. I'm more excited for the $17.99 model with the 4 USB-C ports, if I'm going to be honest. This is basically the same exact computer from last generation, only with that new keyboard and now double the storage on the base model. I'm definitely going to review that $1799 model once it arrives in a couple of days and give you guys my honest thoughts on that. I still have plenty of videos coming up. I'm going to compare this Entry Pro to the $1799 model to compare and contrast, and of course, my MacBook buying guide for 2020. I'm actually kind of glad I didn't start editing for that video since Apple threw us this curveball with this sudden refresh. So stay tuned, ring that bell, and definitely let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on this lackluster refresh for the baseline 13-inch MacBook Pro. That's been it for me, guys. I cannot wait to catch you all in the next video, and as always, take care of yourselves and each other.